What's up, y'all? Bill McNeil rocking the mic again, cold representing Rocket Fuel Malt Liquor. It's got the mad flavor that takes any situation to the next level. So when the party starts bouncing and the ladies start bumping, tighten up your flow with Rocket Fuel. Rocket Fuel Malt Liquor. Damn!
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time for some more comic industry news. Today we're going to be talking about Marvel Comics. I'm finally catching up on a lot of the stuff that was announced while I was in the hospital. And this should catch me up as far as Marvel. I got another video for DC tomorrow. And then I should be good to go and ready for the Comics Aficionados this weekend. A lot of stuff dropped from Marvel. We've got the next Captain America inspired character. This time it's a Filipino Captain America. As many of you know, I do live in the Philippines. And I don't think they picked the right name. I imagine it's already been picked up by other YouTubers, but this isn't exactly a good name for a Filipino inspired, or like a Filipino Captain America inspired character. It doesn't mean what Alyssa Wong thinks it means. Let's just put it that way. Next up, we've got the death of Doctor Strange coming. Will there be a new Sorcerer Supreme in the Marvel 616? I imagine there will be, at least temporarily following this, but we've got some of the details that they've announced so far. Then we've got just announced, I believe today, Larry Hama is returning to the X-Men Legends series that has been fantastic. He's going to pick up on some of his Wolverine work. I imagine Doc is going to be excited about this. We'll talk about this probably on This Week in X-Men on Sunday as well in a little bit more detail. Doc is probably going to be champing at the bit to talk about this one. And then finally we have updates. There's a new co-writer on Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not surprised by this at all. The release schedule for Spider-Man has gone absolutely insane. So Nick Spencer is not going to be the only man behind Spider-Man. Similarly to like the Dan Slott Christos Gage agreement. Now, this isn't the first time they've done this with Spider-Man. It happened relatively recently with, was it Matthew Rosenberg, I think, was helping Nick Spencer on some of the stories. So not something that's unprecedented by any means at Marvel Comics. So let's get right into the news. Let's talk about the first story. And I imagine a lot of people had some fun with this. We've been talking about these new Captain Americas. You got the Captain America of the railways. You got the Captain America of Harrisburg and whatever. You got all these new pseudo Captain Americas. It's really diluting the brand, I think, mostly. It's supposed to be a celebration of the history of Captain America. I don't think defining down the character and his legacy does that. I think Captain America and Bucky and John Walker meeting other heroes along their journey. I guess they're trying to find his shield in the United States of Captain America. Like just meeting other heroes that they could help out and help inspire and move them along on their mission probably been more effective. But they're basically just doing kind of carbon copy. A lot of the costumes are kind of straight up based off of Steve Rogers' Captain America. This one is not. This character is going to be more inspired by Bucky Barnes. But we'll get into the name. The name is Ari Agbayani, spelled A-R-I. This is a female character. In Tagalog, Ari means essentially cock and balls. It's male genitalia. It's not like the scientific word you do for it. Like this is something you would call your friend, but you wouldn't do it in front of his parents. You know what I mean? If you and your buddies were at the bar drinking, maybe you would nickname your buddy Ari, but you wouldn't say it like in front of people that you respected because it wouldn't be a good name. Certainly not a good name for a female character. I don't know where Alyssa Wong came up with that one. Now, it's certainly true that almost every Filipino I know, and I do know quite a few, have multiple nicknames. I believe my wife has 4. She thinks it's odd that I call her by her first name. While essentially everyone else, including her family, like her family has a nickname for her high school friends have a nickname for her work friends had a nickname for her. So it gets a good bit ridiculous. My 6-year-old has 2 nicknames already. So nicknames would absolutely be in order. I don't think Ari would be a good nickname for a girl. My wife definitely agreed with me. She thought it was strange. Let's just put it that way. She was puzzled by the name Ari for a girl that was Filipino. So I thought that was pretty funny. And it just, It just sounds so bad. You can imagine an original from Melissa Wong would be bad. And it's about Ari is a Filipino-American college student attending a private university, and she's called into action when she learns a friend of hers is being abused by a wealthy legacy student that the authorities won't prosecute. Damn those rich white boys in their private schools. It's cliche at this point. It's not interesting. You can only make rich white males, the villain so many times before it's like you're numb. It's like, okay, maybe you could make the priest a villain too while you're at it. There's another overused trope. But I don't know. They just keep going back to this well. This is what they're saying as far as Marvel Comics, the announcement. In the announcement, like the other Caps, Ari has a strong sense of justice and admires the ideals Captain America embodies, but the Captain America she's inspired by isn't Steve Rogers, it's Bucky Barnes, the reformed criminal assassin. I'm a big fan of Bucky Barnes. Don't know that everybody should be inspired by that character, although he did redeem himself, and he's certainly been a hero for a very long time. Someone who hates bullies as much as Steve does, but is willing to use sneakier, shadier tactics to deal with them. Ari is a vigilante, and she knows that you can't always win by playing by the rules. So she's going to be in that gray area. She's not going to be a straight hero, folks. She's going to be a vigilante, maybe like a Red Hood, Bucky Barnes kind of character. Perhaps she'll wield a gun. Maybe she'll pistol whip somebody, knife them. I don't know. Maybe she'll shoot them. Who knows? All I know is that name is embarrassing. I'm shocked that they went with it. Well, I'm not shocked because they were probably completely unaware, but that is a terrible name for a female character. That is Filipino. Let's just put it that way. And if you're going to have a new Filipino American hero in the Marvel universe, why does it got to be Captain America? Why can't there just be a cool Filipino hero? Like, this character will never be used again. There are so few like Filipino superheroes, despite the amount of Filipinos that are like professional comic book creators. Like, there's a ton of artists and writers, but they do not get their hero this series. Next up, let's get into the death of Doctor Strange. This is certainly something that Marvel goes to the well to every so often. Certainly bumps up sales and interest in the character as they're about to die. We saw that with Wolverine, who was gone, I think, for 5 years. Maybe it was a little bit longer. Death of Captain Marvel. We haven't seen him since. Obviously, that's Carol Danvers now. So we've certainly seen these major characters killed off multiple times in the Marvel Universe. This is probably going to have a lot of interest. I'm definitely going to read it. I'm not the biggest Jed McKay fan. He's going to be the writer, but he's done some good stuff here and there. I did like the beginning of his Black Cat stuff. We'll talk about some of the reasons I'm concerned after we get into these details. The artist is going to be Lee Garbert. I think he's a damn good artist. I think he'll do a good job here. This is a 5-issue limited series that's going to be coming out in September. And this is what the Marvel write-up has to say. Able to defeat supernatural and interdimensional threats no other hero is equipped to handle, Strange was the only hero standing in the way of powerful new villains eager to claim Earth as their own. When he unexpectedly dies, I think he's murdered. I think he's murdered, but it's not Magneto. Who is left to protect Earth and keep the mystical evils at bay? And most importantly, who killed Stephen Strange? If he couldn't stop them, who can? This rousing journey will dive into the mythos behind Doctor Strange, showcasing his unique and vital position amongst Marvel's heroes, and ultimately transform the future. All right, I'm going to be honest. It's got to be like 2-1. This is going to be a new female character that takes over, and she's going to be a better Sorcerer Supreme than Doctor Strange ever was, because she will take down this villain in no problem. As soon as she finds out the identity, she will defeat him. Didn't do something Stephen Strange couldn't do. Almost guaranteed that that's going to happen. And that's not based on Jed McKay. That's based on Marvel Comics and recent history. Danny Rand. Ugh, what did they do to that guy? And this is what writer Jed McKay had to say. What happens to the world if Doctor Strange isn't in it? It's a question that I'm excited to show people the answer to in Death of Doctor Strange. Strange has been a Marvel fixture from the early days, but now his time has run out. And as a Strange fan, it's been my bittersweet privilege to shepherd him through this last day and the effects that snowball out of it. We've cooked up a whale of a story to send Strange off with, and I can't wait for people to join us on it. Well, sounds like he's a big fan. We'll see if he does a good job. Obviously, this is not going to be permanent. None of these deaths are ever permanent unless you're Captain Marvel. Although if he's replaced by a new female Sorcerer Supreme, it might be permanent. He might not be getting this character back. Although I do think, all kidding aside, that Doctor Strange is probably too important for them to do that too. And also the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is coming out soon. I would be shocked if Disney would be happy that Marvel Comics killed off the star of the of the movie just in the comic books, just in time for it to release. That would be stupid. So it is going to be a murder mystery. I imagine it'll have supernatural, interdimensional, dark arts kind of stuff in it. Something I'm interested in. Here's the problem though. I do like Jed MacKay here and there. The last thing I read by him was Taskmaster, and he got Taskmaster and Skeletor confused. You know what I'm saying? I guess because they kind of look alike, depending on who's illustrating the character. They're not exactly all that similar, from two completely different realms, two different universes. They don't even have the same skill sets, but he got them confused. If you read Taskmaster, use the Skeletor voice, and it's pitch perfect. So hopefully Jed MacKay does not, confuse Doctor Strange with Dumbledore or some other type of wizard or sorcerer from another universe. I kid, but it's certainly a distinct possibility. I imagine he's going to die soon, and this death of Doctor Strange is probably going to be all about the introduction of whoever the next Sorcerer Supreme is, likely a female superhero. Probably gay, just based on what Marvel Comics has been doing lately. So that's my thoughts on this. I'm definitely going to read it. I'm intrigued. There's a good chance this is There's a chance this is going to be really cool. There's also a chance that it's going to be awful because it is Marvel Comics and it is modern Marvel Comics. Next up, we've got the new announcement for X-Men Legends. I have been loving this series, having a lot of fun with the Fabian Nicienza, Brett Booth. What was that? The first couple issues. Then we've had the Simonsons return for some X Factor stuff. Been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed having some of these classic artists. Don't know that Billy Tan is going to have that Wolverine feel that Larry Hama probably needs for it, but I am absolutely excited about this as well. Now, Larry Hama has written over 50 issues of Wolverine through the 90s, and he introduced a lot of characters like Letty, Deathstrike. I also think he kind of expanded Sabretooth's role in the lore of Wolverine, so that stuff was pretty important. And this is what Marvel Comics has to say. Acclaimed creator Larry Hama will return to his epic run on Wolverine this September in X-Men Legends #7. Joined by popular X-Men artist Billy Tan, Hama will once again pick up the adventures of Weapon X, continuing his work on Wolverine that helped define the 90s. The writer behind Wolverine's greatest stories and deadliest encounters returns to do what he does best. Now, I don't imagine Larry Hama wrote that. He probably wouldn't even say he's the writer behind the greatest Wolverine stories ever. Some of the greatest Wolverine stories ever. But there's, Claremont, Barry Windsor Smith. There's some other creators. Who else we got in there? I don't want to go into as well, but there's been a lot of creators on Wolverine that have done really good work. Larry Hama's one of them. I don't know that he's the very best, but he's certainly one of the best. So I'm excited about this. And this is more of the announcement. When two young mutants disappear, Wolverine and Jubilee set off for Japan to track them down, but Lady Deathstrike and the Hand had their own designs on the duo, and it'll take no small measure of blood, sweat, and adamantium to change their mind, kicking off a deadly international mutant conflict. So I'm absolutely all in on that. I like Wolverine fighting ninjas. I like Wolverine in Japan. I even like Wolverine with Jubilee to a degree. I think you can overuse the Dadverine trope, but certainly is overused. Jason Aaron kind of ruined that for everybody. Thankfully, Ben Percy hasn't really dove into that with his latest Wolverine series, but we are going to be seeing Jubilee and Wolverine reunited in the series. I'm absolutely excited for this. I will be checking it out, but there's a little piece in the back of my mind that says, hey, I was excited for that Iron Fist series too, and it felt like he dropped the ball at the end. I don't know. how everyone felt, but the feedback in the video I made about Danny Rand essentially no longer being Iron Fist, a lot of people weren't happy. Let's just put it that way. And I don't blame them. So Larry Hama probably still has some good X-Men stories in him. I did enjoy his I, Wolverine story that was part of the Iron Man 2020 series. It was the highlight of the whole thing. The art was terrible, but the story itself was good. So I am very optimistic that this will actually be worth my time and very good. And as I mentioned before, definitely going to be talking about this with Doc on This Week in X-Men. I imagine he's going to be excited as well. Now, last but not least, we have a co-writer specifically coming on Amazing Spider-Man. If you haven't noticed, and I'm sure you have if you are a Spider-Man fan, Amazing Spider-Man has gone kind of weekly. And it has been for quite some time. Well, for a couple months now. And we are getting into Chameleon Conspiracy. And Amazing Spider-Man 68, Ed Brisson will now be the co-writer along with Nick Spencer. I am personally a big Ed Brisson fan. I really like his X-Men work. He was the only good writer doing X-Men before the Jonathan Hickman reboot. The only other person that even came close was Kelly Thompson and on Mr. and Mrs. X. And it wasn't as good as the stuff Ed Brisson was doing, in my opinion. His Ghost Rider was criminally underrated and underappreciated. Not enough people bought it, and unfortunately it got canceled too early. He's also doing some work on Batman right now. Pretty exciting stuff. I think he's also going to be the writer of Predator whenever that comes out. I think it's probably going to come out in October, when the Penguin Random House Marvel deal kicks off. So I think this is probably a good thing. Me personally, I think what Nick Spencer's been doing on Spider-Man has been good. Although there's been too much teasing with the One More Day, Who Is Kindred stuff. I did definitely get turned off by that. So bringing in someone like Ed Brisson, I don't know that their writing styles exactly mesh. What exactly is going to be doing? I imagine, and this is just my guess, that Nick Spencer is going to be drafting up the initial first or second draft of the comic book, the beginning stages of the dialogue, and then Ed Brisson's going to finish it after they get the feedback from editors and stuff like that. I don't know that for certain. That would be my guess. Wouldn't mind seeing an Ed Brisson, just Spider-Man series personally, but this is probably good news. They are releasing Spider-Man at a very fast and furious pace. We're not even getting the main comic artists really aren't on the book all that much anymore because they're putting out so many of these comics and a lot of giant sized Spider-Man comics as well. So this probably should have been expected and is probably a good deal. If you're a Spider-Man fan, I don't think this is going to detract from what Nick Spencer's doing. That's just my guess. And that is the news. I'm finally caught up. I didn't hit everything, but this is all the stuff that I thought was important while I was gone. We're caught up in Marvel Comics. We've got a new Captain America, Filipino Captain America. Her name means cock and balls in Tagalog. That was a bad choice by Alyssa Wong and Marvel Editorial. I bet they wish they could take that one back. And she's, of course, going to be fighting the patriarchy and, rich white guys on a college campus. Woohoo. Really original stuff there, right? Then we've got the death of Doctor Strange. I am definitely going to be reading this. Jed McKay is not my favorite writer, but it sounds like he's a fan of the character. We've seen these done before. I don't think this will be permanent because we do have the movie coming up, but if they do something cool, if it's a good murder mystery, I will definitely be down for the cause. I think Lee Garbett is a good artist and a good choice for this. Next up, the thing I'm probably more excited about, X-Men Legends #7, going back to Wolverine with Larry Hama, Billy Tan on art. I think this is exciting stuff. We'll get more into that when we talk to Doc this weekend and see what he thinks about that. And then finally, what we just talked about, Amazing Spider-Man has a co-writer starting on June 9th. Amazing Spider-Man 68, Ed Brisson is coming aboard to help ease the load on Nick Spencer as Spider-Man has been releasing at a fast and furious pace and a lot of giant-size X-Men, a lot of giant-sized Spider-Man issues as well. So he's putting out an incredibly large amount of pages for Spider-Man, and this is probably a necessary change. Mostly good stuff. I'm not going to change my mind on this United States of Captain America. It's diluted the character in a big waste of time, and none of these characters will probably ever be used again, except in maybe a Marvel Voices issue in 2 years. Later.